you got to have this guy on. I'm like, I haven't done the list yet. It's unbelievable. Anyway, let's start in Kansas City. Speaking of lists, Patrick Mahomes, he was named 18th on the NFL Top 100 list today. The quarterback dropped 13 spots from last year. We can throw up his 2025 stats on the screen. Honestly, based on that, 19 feels pretty generous. Greg, we'll see how he bounces back, of course, from the ACL surgery. It was 18. I don't know why I said 19. Regardless, fair to say now, Mahomes officially underrated?
No, I don't think he's underrated and he's being underrated. What I do believe is we are attaching this expectation to Patrick Mahomes of the highest of any quarterback that plays our game. And as it pertains to him and his productivity and his statistics, have they declined? Of course. But what he carries, heavy is the head that wears the crown. He is the crown. He is the head of the class. He is the cream of the crop. When they lose, and we have never seen them lose until last season as a team, he has to wear that. And so all the attention, all the focus is on, well, Patrick Mahomes wasn't enough. Well, he's always been enough in our eyes, but last year it just never happened. It never came to fruition. In that game specifically against the Jacksonville Jaguars, kind of where it all derailed, he had an opportunity to win the game through the pick, and it was like that just ended their season. It just derailed them, and they couldn't overcome anything else. But I don't think he's being underrated. He did suffer the injury. Again, the team, we've never seen them lose. And so I think we're weighing his lack of productivity or his decline in his numbers in conjunction with what we saw them perform and how we saw them perform as a team.
First off, these lists are great for us in this business, but I'm not trusting the players to rank anything. Like, you've been in those locker rooms when we rank these lists, like they're just a joke. I mean, it is what it is. But players don't take it seriously. So is he really 18th best player? I don't know.
I mean, the list is done basically like they pass out a form and they're like, rank the players from memory.
Yes.
There's not a name of guys to pick from.
I mean, I never remember even doing the top one.
Yeah, well, I started doing it in 2014, 2015. But again, like, a lot of players don't watch football. Like, they don't really watch it. They watch film. They don't watch football. So that being said, what you mentioned about expectations is why I think he'll sort of be criminally underrated forever if he doesn't win Super Bowls every year, right? We expect him to win every single season. Didn't win last year. Didn't go well for them last season. But right now, guys, we enter this season. If you have to pick a quarterback to win a game, a half, a drive, he's one of three, right? I think, in my mind, Mahomes, Stafford, Burrow. Those are three. A playoff game, who I need to win a drive. Those are three I got. So I think he's underrated forever, unless he wins Super Bowls. He's always going to be underrated. This season, they bring back a good offensive line. They switch offensive coordinators. He has the motivation this year of everyone telling him he's not as good anymore. I think he's going to play very well this season. I think he'll always be underrated unless he wins Super Bowls every single season.
I also think, to your point about who's doing the ranking, like, it's nice because this is something that I can actually say that I'm better at than the players.
I knew where you were going.
Honestly, I put more thought into it. I care more about it. And I honestly believe that my ranking and opinion on this carries more weight than players who played.
Yes.
But if I remove myself and my own ego from it, I think that Fowler over at ESPN, Jeremy Fowler, does a really good job because he takes scouts, coaches, and executives and pulls them for every position. They had Patrick Mahomes as the number 2 quarterback in the NFL. Yeah. Then Mike Sando at The Athletic. He does the same thing. 50 coaches, scouts, executives, the people that are paid real money to get it right on ranking. You know where Mahomes was? Number 1. You know where the Ringer had him at the end of last year when he was recovering from surgery? Number 1. So, if the players coming off of a year where he had 22 touchdowns, 11 picks, and a passer rating under 90, that means that Tyler Shuck had a better passer rating than him last year. Yeah. It means that the only player with fewer games and more interceptions than Mahomes last year was J.J. McCarthy. He did not have a good year last year, statistically, but the people that actually care about this stuff grade that on a curve. He was injured, players around him, defense, everything. We know that Mahomes is awesome. And I don't really care that on one player list that the players don't care about he comes in at number 18. Like it means nothing to me because it means less than nothing. Like the executives, the people that make 8 figures to draft and build football teams are like, you know who the best is? Patrick Mahomes. So why do I care?
They expect what I think we all expect, which is a bounce back season, right? Last year the offense was so stale, man. It was just so stale. They couldn't get guys open. There wasn't easy offense for them. They didn't run the ball at all. And so far, what we've heard, we've seen the preseason so far, they're going back to run the football, which is they need to do under center. They're adding some more concepts in that make it easier for Mahomes to get yards. Like, we're going to see a better Mahomes. So these lists, I think, all take into consideration what we're going to see moving forward. The list, the players' dues for last year, right? It's based off last season.
And last year,
he was not
very good.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, when you start talking about the players and the voting on these players, other players, it's the injuries play a huge factor.
Of course.
Sure.
And obviously the immediate stats. So when you get these voting opportunities, you got stats, you got all the other quarterbacks, you got touchdowns, you got yards. And when you don't see Patrick Mahomes' name at the top, it's like, oh, well, I'm not going to just put him there. And then you have other guys that have performed. We know they're not better than Patrick Mahomes, but it's like, well, I mean, they're kind of deserving this time because he hasn't had the typical season that we're accustomed to knowing and seeing him have. So I don't mind it, but we all know, without doubt, if there's one argument that can be made for Josh Allen, there's one quarterback that can have the argument of they're the best in the game, and that's Josh Allen, aside from Patrick Mahomes. Other than that, Patrick Mahomes is top of everyone's list.
I also think what is worth pointing out about Mahomes is that he has not had an MVP caliber regular season since 2022, right? He was the Super Bowl MVP in 2023, and he was unbelievable in those playoffs. But in the last 3 seasons, he has not had a 30-touchdown year. He has not had a 4,500-yard season. He has not been really close to winning an MVP. He has not had a dominant regular season the last 3 regular seasons. Now, we can say that is not because of his deterioration. We could say it's about the pieces around him. But like the statistical overwhelming dominance of Mahomes has not been there the last few years. So that's why I'm with you. Like, if you want to say it's a debate on who the best quarterback in football is for this season, I think that's totally fine. Mm-hmm. Stafford was the MVP. Allen has the counting stats over the last few years. But like, it's still Mahomes' era. It's still Mahomes'
no question
league,
about it.
right? Like if you needed one guy down for fourth quarter, your own 25-yard line, and he's healthy, you would still take Mahomes.
Think about going back to last year. Think about how many times people said the Chiefs still got it. They can still do it.
Thank
and
you.
It was only because of Mahomes. I was one of the few early on that was like, this is not happening this year. Like, it's just not. The team is not good enough. They can't rush the passer, which is a separate topic. But, like, Mahomes, it's just not working on offense. And, look, the wide receivers, to your point, like, Mahomes has got to do better at times, too. But the wide receivers have been pretty mediocre for 3 years now. Rice was good as a rookie. Then he got hurt, and then he was suspended for 8 games. Now he's coming off of jail. He looks terrible in camp right now. He didn't look 100%. So that might be another year where it's like Mahomes is trying to do a lot with a little in that wide receiver room.
But who, like, other than, like, so this is the biggest insult we can find for Patrick Mahomes. That on a year where he tore his ACL, he tore his ACL, and a group of players who don't care about the ranking was like, yeah, I guess he's the 18th best player in the world. Like, it's not that big. It's not that big of an insult.
It really isn't, because the players still respect him enough to know.
Of course.
To know, okay, this is about as low as we can put him. It's like Justin Jefferson. We understood.
We talked about that the other day.
It's like you understand what they're up against. We understand what he's been up against, but we also have this ridiculous expectation of, I mean, you've done it before, do it again. It doesn't matter. You're Patrick Mahomes, so just do it. And when he doesn't do it, or he looks like pedestrian at times, which last season was the first time we saw, like, he was a part of the reason why they were having some issues. It wasn't just, well, no one's helping Mahomes. It was, man, Mahomes didn't help them this time, or he hurt them with this interception, or whatever the place may be. But he recognized that. I think he's going to have a great season this year. One of the reasons why, Eric Bieniemy, I think he is very underrated. To your guy, Matt Nagy, that you love. I know you love him because you've told us
He's a nice guy.
numerous times.
He's a nice guy.
But he's had so much success with Eric Bieniemy. It'll be interesting to see what that looks like moving forward this year.
All right, let's go to Dallas, where Jerry Jones, it had been a few days since he had given us a nice quote. They made a splash signing with Super Bowl MVP Von Miller yesterday, but apparently that does not mean that Jerry Jones considers that his all-in move and that he's necessarily done. Take a listen.
Yes. If we had an opportunity, I would be.
Is it more of a wait-and-see thing?
And it's as much about what I think of where we are, which I'm more positive than when we started camp, seriously, about what our chances are. And so I think if we saw an opportunity to take a little of the future and put it on this team, I'd do it if it would help us.
All right, so it's been a very busy offseason for Dallas. No drama around the franchise tag for George Pickens. A ton of investment, both in the draft and free agency on the defensive side of the ball. So, Jeff, we'll see if any more moves, like Jerry alluded to, are potentially coming. But is the current roster Super Bowl caliber?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it has to be, right? Like, if you go through the list of the Cowboys, right, Dak Prescott, we talked about the quarterback list, he was about 6 or 7. I think it's about where he's at in the NFL right now. And when he's been healthy, guys, he's played very well. The health has been the problem in his career. Not a big problem, but when he's been hurt, obviously, not very good. When he's been healthy, he's been great. The 3 12-win years in a row, he played very well last season. 2 outstanding wideouts, good tight end, good offensive line, good running back, check all those. And then the problem was defense last year. Well, they fixed it. They went and got a new defensive line. They drafted a new defensive lineman. Overshown is back at linebacker. He plays a big role in their success. You remember he missed most of last year, but came back at the end. And Caleb Downs looks incredible so far. We all thought he was going to be a good NFL player. He dropped to, I think, 11, where they drafted him at 10. He's good. Like, yeah, it's a very good roster. Can they put it all together? I'm not quite certain on that. But when you just roster-wise in the NFC, they're one of the better rosters. And of course, adding a piece to make your team better is always something you should do. I don't know where that piece ends up being. Maybe it's one more pass rusher because the young guys aren't ready yet. Maybe it's someone in the secondary. You're not going to probably get a Super Bowl difference maker right now, Greg, in a trade. But I think Jerry Jones realizes that they could win or get close this season with the roster they have.
I'm right there with you, absolutely. This roster, as currently constructed and configured, they are good enough to win. Now, that doesn't – every single team moving forward will make an adjustment. No team has ever won a Super Bowl without adding or subtracting from their roster from week 1 to week 16, 17, 18, whatever the case may be. With that being said, like, this offense, we know who they are. We know what they've always been about, scoring points. They were 5th in the league. Yards per game, they were 2nd last year. We know what the defense has been or what they haven't been. They've been very bad. However, we don't really talk about why they were bad. They couldn't stop. They couldn't get off the field.
Yeah.
3rd down, when you give up a lot of points, there's a reason why you're giving up these points. Well, you're not getting off the field, so you don't stay fresh. You can't stop the run. In their case, they couldn't stop the pass. And offensively, when you are in a position where you have this expectation of being the best, one of the best offenses, the guys in the locker room are feeling like we can be the best offense, you have this X factor that we never talk about in Brandon Aubrey, where
I don't like talking about kickers. Go ahead.
We don't talk about kickers, but in this case, when you talk about the Cowboys and can they win a championship, I guarantee he's going to be a huge reason why if they are to get it done.
Yeah, with the kickoff rules and the touchback rules, it's like they need 2 first downs and they're in field goal range for Brandon Aubrey. You know, he's a tremendous weapon for them. So to answer the question, like, clean sweep across the board. Like, I tend to also be pretty generous this time of year. Like, I don't want to go into an NFL season believing that there's only 4 teams that can win a Super Bowl. Like, I think that if you can be truly elite on either side of the ball, that I do put you into the big bucket of teams that can win. And I think Dallas can be the best offense in football. So if you can be the best offense in football, you can win a Super Bowl. To your point, they got a lot going for them on offense. Yes. You mentioned everything you mentioned, plus continuity of coaching.
Yes.
Like, it's not can Schottenheimer do it? New play call. It's just everything's the same. They got a left tackle question, but their offense is in a great spot. Their defense probably can't be worse. And they invested a ton of draft capital, free agency, new defensive coordinator, all of those things. So yeah, I definitely think they have enough to compete for a Super Bowl at this point of the year. I also think that Jerry should mortgage a bit of the future for this year's team, because I think there's a really good chance that this 2026 Cowboys team is the best roster they have going into a season for the next couple of seasons. It seems to me very unlikely, given what they've paid Dak, given what they've paid CD, that George Pickens is going to want big money at the end of this year, and Quinnen Williams is going to want big money at the end of this year. Seems very unlikely that they're going to be able to pay both. So I could see Jerry saying, okay, this is the year that I'm going to have two great receivers and a great defensive tackle on the team. I'm losing one of them at the end of the year. Pickens would probably be the small favorite in that spot. Trade a future first-round pick to go get Max Crosby if he's available. Trade a second-round pick to go get a plug-and-play corner to help opposite Deron Bland. Like, go out and mortgage a bit of your future for this year's team because you don't feel like both those guys are going to be here going forward.
I think that's on the board. But we're this early in the season, and I don't think you're talking about, like, do that right now.
It depends when it's available. But I think Crosby is getting traded during the regular season, for a name.
And so there lies my point. Like, with the Dallas Cowboys, you have a bit of runway because you want to see what this defense really looks like.
Yeah.
You can't really gauge it and say, you know what, let's throw an all-pro in Max Crosby in here, and then the expectation is going to be a little slightly different. Like, we better be a good defense. Right now, they have a chance to where they're trending in the right direction with being able to sustain this for more than just this year, in my opinion.
I think it really depends for Crosby specifically, like how the young pass rushers develop. If they drafted two pass rushers first and second round, if those guys develop and Von Miller shows he can help those guys and do enough, maybe you don't have to trade for him. But you can trade for Crosby. I think you have to do it, right? If you're a contender and you're offered Max Crosby and he's still playing well, you have to make that trade.
So Crosby's name, if left tackle doesn't work out and they do that, if they feel like they need a corner or a linebacker, or like whatever it is, and obviously Crosby would be the more the sexier name and the bigger draft guy, the high end. I just think that Dallas is in a spot where because their roster is top heavy with like where they put their contracts. I think that it makes a lot of sense for them to mortgage a little bit of the future for this year's Super Bowl. Not give up everything, but like if you think you're going to be awesome this year, and you trade next year's first-round pick, and that's the 28th pick in the draft.
Yeah.
It's not that significant a capital to give away to go try to win this year's Super Bowl. Let's go to Chicago, where there's a lot of talk, obviously, about one of the most hyped teams in the NFL. Caleb coming off a year with him and Ben Johnson. They go 11-6, win the division, win their first playoff game in 15 years. Albert Breer was saying this summer that it's not like last summer, year over year. He says, now a year later, they're able to reintroduce some things that didn't quite work in 25, but Williams and his teammates have some recall on them. The upshot now is that with improved play, Williams has more capital with his teammates to direct and lead, which ultimately allows Ben Johnson, to give him ownership of the offense. All right, Greg, you know I like making a Packer say nice things about a Bear. How dangerous are Caleb and the Bears going to be this year?
So
it's hard for him.
It's not. It's really not.
Okay.
They're going to be dangerous.
That's what I just
They're simply. How dangerous? This is where we're going to see whether there's growth and consistency in Caleb's play between quarters 1 through 3. Because we talked about Bo Nix and what he was able to do and what he didn't do, but Caleb was kind of in that on that same path. And when you look at these numbers, if he is anywhere close to being what he is on that right side in the fourth quarter in overtime versus what he is on that left side through quarters 1 through 3 consistently, then the Bears are going to get everybody a problem. They're simply going to be not just dangerous, but a flat-out threat to everyone that we're saying is a contender. They will then be a contender.
Aren't those stats a product of him just being more consistent, right? Those fourth quarter overtime plays, a lot of those sort of scramble around, out-of-pocket plays, like those he's great at, obviously. We saw that at USC. But the knock at him coming out of USC was the more consistency, right? We need to see more just like on time, on rhythm. That's what I want to see.
In the pocket.
He completed less than 60% of passes. Like that's nearly impossible to do nowadays in the NFL. you bump it to like 66%. Like, can we get a little more of the easy throws? If he's able to do that, that's where he excels. We know he can do the out of pocket, the out of structure, the end of game heroics. He's great at that stuff. But to your point, hey, here's the play call. Can you drop back? Can you set? Can you throw the ball on time? If he does that, and really, to me, this is year 2 for him. Year 1, throw that out. And we see a lot of quarterbacks that make a big jump between year 1 and year 2. They just do, because that's when you get a full offseason with the same offensive coordinator, with the same weapons. I think Loveland's going to have an incredible year. 1,000 yards is not off the table for him, I think. And so I think Caleb Williams, if he can just do the simple things well, that will accelerate his game this season.
I have no reason to believe that he won't or that he can't. I just have not yet heard a good explanation why, if a guy can do the 10 out of 10 difficulty play, that he would be incapable of doing the 3 out of 10 difficulty play. And that comes with time on task, mastery of the offense, year 2 in the system, year 3 in the NFL. Like, Caleb Williams had 3 separate systems over 3 years. Final year at USC, first year in the NFL, second year in the NFL. 3 different OCs, 3 different play callers, 3 different offenses. First time in 4 years that he's had some continuity of system. Also, so it's his second year with Ben Johnson. It's Luther Burden's second year with Ben Johnson. It's Rome Odunze's second year with Ben Johnson. It's Colston Loveland's second year with him. Like, it's a very young offense that is with an excellent play caller and an excellent coach. And if he can go from 68 sacks as a rookie to 24 sacks in year 2, because that was the number one thing he prioritized. And then this offseason, the number one thing he's prioritizing is what you guys are both talking about. Hit the layups, man.
Yeah.
So if a guy is that talented, with that much talent around him, with that excellent of coaching around him, and it's been his number one priority, and he fixed the biggest issue from year 1 to year 2, why would I think he would not fix the biggest issue from year 2 to year 3? It feels inevitable.
Yeah. One of the greatest compliments I ever heard a coach give Aaron Rodgers when we were in Green Bay was, we got to keep him in the pocket, because he's even better, he's even more dangerous outside the pocket. Not just with his legs, but as it pertained to him being even more accurate. If Caleb Williams can just, even in week 1 to week 4, just when he gets uncomfortable, challenge himself to play within the pocket, to your point, and just steadily take the blows, take the ups, take the lumps early in the season, so that just like we saw last season, when as it pertained to pre-snap and all the issues that they were having, he took those lumps, he owned those lumps, and later on in the season, as the season progressed, we didn't see them show up ever again. And he got more confident, and then in the end of the game heroics, we know what he turns into. And that, for me, if he does, again, like we're all saying, if he does that, there is no limit to what this offense can look like.
I also wonder if him playing with a better defense will change his job. USC's defense, not good. Year 1, not good. Last year, they had a bunch of turnovers, but they weren't a good defense. He tries to do hero ball too much, right? That's what he did at USC. So what I feel like he feels like he do sometimes. If the defense is better, maybe it just calms him down. Hey, I don't have to do everything. I just take what's in front of me.
What if the defense isn't better? I'm not loving all of the early reports about their health in the secondary. Kyler Gordon hurt, Kobe Bryant hurt.
It can't be worse, I guess, unless you don't force the turnovers. Then it might be worse.
Well, it can be, because they were historic.
They were number one. They were number 1 in takeaways.
Yes, number 1 takeaways.
But yeah,
like 30th in EPA.
Yeah, but Jalen Johnson is back. I think the defense should be healthier, but I don't think it will be good. But I think you give up points, you score points, you win some games 35-30, some shootouts, bad defense, MVP. MVP. Is that ridiculous?
Yes.
All right, well, I got it at like 13-1. MVP for Caleb Williams this year. We are officially counting down 4 hours and 20 minutes to the Freedom 250 Grand Prix, which will take place in our nation's capital on Sunday. Coverage starting at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, only on Fox. 4 days, 20 hours, 0 minutes is what I meant to say. Greg, did you get America a birthday present for 250?
No, I did not.
Hot dogs and fireworks, that's all we need. It's going to be a great race. Tune in on Sunday on Fox. Let's get back to football. Everyone assume, listen, everything I hoped for and more, that's going to be what Justin Herbert says in his wedding vows to Madison Beer. Get it? He's getting married.
He is?
Yeah, you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they look really happy. It's actually what Mike McDaniel said about his quarterback. Take a listen.
Intentionally working at the craft every day. which is what you have to do at the quarterback position. So he's been everything that I'd hoped and more in that regard. And so we're just finding different things to add to his game each and every day to have the best foot forward starting week 1.
Okay, so the vibes coming out of Chargers camp have been excellent. Everything they're saying about Herbert and Mike McDaniel and Harbaugh and the relationship, but they had their joint practice today with the Niners. Tyler Biadasz, their center, was carted off. Quentin Johnson got hurt going up for a ball. A linebacker got hurt. So I guess the excuses are already starting to come in from me with Justin Herbert. Now, we'll wait to see on the designation there. But do you think this is going to work immediately, McDaniel and Herbert?
First of all, no more joint practices.
You don't like joint practices?
No. Do you?
Nope.
No more joint practices. Just practice with yourself. You don't need to practice in joint practices.
But interesting. But my understanding of it is that coaches like the joint practices so that they don't have to play the guys who matter as much in the preseason, and they can have more of a controlled environment in the joint practices.
Yeah, you can say it's.
Do I have that wrong?
No, you're right
that's
about
right.
That's what they say.
But anytime it's hard to dial down the competition.
Correct.
You got another opposing team coming. Everybody's going to come in with a little bit of an edge every single time you're going on the field. And when you have older guys going out who pretty much are already solidified, it just bad things are. The only thing that can happen is bad.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And the work is not as good as you think it is. Like the work in the preseason game is better than the work in the practice, obviously. You don't want to play in the game sometimes. I get that. But joint practices, we got a bunch of injuries so far. The fighting is out of control.
Fighting is definitely.
And that's why Andy Reid doesn't do them. He's never done them in Kansas City. Dan Campbell got rid of him. He didn't do them this year. So I hope those guys are healthy. Biadasz is a big deal. If he's out, that's a big problem for Herbert. Back to the point. I think Herbert will play better this year because I trust Mike McDaniel. I think he's a really good football coach. He might not be a great head coach. He's a great offensive coach. Look what he did for Tua the last 3 or 4 years in Miami. Like, guys were wide open for Tua. He designed an offense around a quarterback that is afraid to get hit. Now, there's reasons, of course, why he is that way, but he's got an offense where the ball's got to be gone in 2 seconds. Now, I get why people say Herbert doesn't deserve some of the praise he gets, but he's a physical specimen. He can do everything a quarterback can do in the National Football League. Now you add the coach in there that can design offense for him that works, gets guys open. You have a better offensive line with Alt back, and Slater's a little beat up right now. He should be back soon. Hopefully Biadasz is healthy. The run game should be good. I love the pairing of Harbaugh and McDaniel. Kind of 2 separate schemes, but 2 guys that want to run the football, right? They want to be physical, so take some of that pressure away from Herbert. And I think it's building up right now, Greg, to be a really good offense. More than anything, like when the Chiefs were looking for an offensive coordinator, as a Chiefs fan, I was hoping they'd hire McDaniel. It was never going to make sense, but he's a very top-tier offensive coordinator.
Yeah, you talk about the run game. That's where my focus is going to be because we know Justin Herbert has the skill set. We know he has the talent. It's just a matter of the health around him. But when you have 2 coaches that share a type of identity and you have one coming in and Mike McDaniel that has an identity, you see Sean McVay, 13 personnel. We talk about it ad nauseum. You see Kyle Shanahan, he has 21 personnel that he likes to run. Mike McDaniel, 22 personnel, two backs, 2 tight ends. Achane went crazy down in Miami every single time they turned on the tape. He's coming with an identity that fits who they are and what they want to do. And now it's just a matter of, can these guys on the outside, if they can hold up front, can these guys on the outside make plays with their one-on-one matchups? You got a fast guy that you drafted in the later round in Brennan Thompson, so you know you got some speed. Quentin Johnston, a guy that we just talked about being hurt. If he's healthy, he can make plays. And Ladd McConkey he took a step back because of Keenan Allen coming back last year, but I think he reinserts himself as one of their go-to guys, and they'll be just fine.
As long as there is a relative amount of health around Justin Herbert, and today's news is not a great start for that, and they definitely need to get Rashawn Slater back on the practice field given the severity of the injury that he's coming back from. But with that injury caveat aside, and that is not me making an excuse, that is what I would say for all 32 teams in the NFL. They just have been very injured recently, and today's news is not great for it. Yes, I'm willing to guarantee that it's going to work. He was sacked 56 times last year, and he still had his most touchdown passes in 4 years, and they still won 11 games. It was a disaster around him, and he was still really good. So you now have good coaching to make it easier for him. The sky is the MVP and the Super Bowl. And like it depends on what you're going to say as works. But like for Herbert, it is he has to win playoff games. He's never won one. And he has to actually have some of the hardware and accolades to match up with like the scouting eye. And I'm not saying my scouting eye, like back to that Jeremy Fowler article, the coaches and executives have him as the 7th best quarterback in the NFL, and he's got 0 playoff wins because they watch the games and they're like, yeah, this guy can make every throw on the field. So yes, I am willing to guarantee that it works.
He's getting 2 all-pro tackles back. Like, those aren't like slouches. Like, 2 all-pro tackles back.
To the 3 highest paid guys on the team.
You're right. The bar, though, is, and what we'll judge him on this season, is playoff success.
Correct.
That's it.
Absolutely.
So he's got to get to that level, which we think he can, again. And he's got to win playoff games. Like that's where the bar's at for Herbert now. He's done everything up to that point. The next thing now is to win some of those playoff games.
It would be nice if his worst performances of the year were not in the
Correct.
playoff losses.
Exactly.
That would be a nice change of pace for a guy who spent a lot of time defending Justin Herbert on television. Speaking of offensive coordinator and coach combinations, let's go to Philly. Jalen Hurts still getting used to his 6th new play caller with Sean Mannion. 6 is just a crazy number. But with 1 preseason game under his belt, Mannion already feels comfortable, at least with the play calling aspect. Take a listen.
1 game in, I'm very, very happy with our process, and we'll keep always, like anything, whether it's scheme or the process on the sideline and calling plays, we'll always try to see if we can make it better. But honestly, through 1 game, I felt really good about it.
All right, guys. So the question is, do you expect Mannion to get the most out of Jalen Hurts? And I'm going to go first so that I can have a cop-out of an answer. Okay? I don't know, but what I do know is that if it works, Sean Mannion is going to be a head coach somewhere. And if it doesn't work, he and others are going to be fired. Because that is Jalen Hurts' track record, and that's how it works in Philly. It's a wild thing. So Jalen Hurts has had a new play caller or offensive coordinator every year that he's played big-time football, going all the way back to college. Yeah. But let's just focus on Philly, because in Philly, he has this unbelievable roster, and he's the Super Bowl MVP, and he's got Howie Roseman and everything. Okay, Doug Peterson. He was his head coach and his play caller. Fired in 2020. Then Shane Steichen has success. He gets the Colts job. Johnson does terrible, gets fired. Oh, Kellen Moore comes in, has success. They're back in the Super Bowl. He's the head coach of the Saints. Patullo last year, disaster. He becomes the fall guy. I don't know that Sean Mannion can just be the fall guy here. Like Jalen Hurts doesn't have guaranteed money going forward. Nick Sirianni, so what have you done for me lately, City? Like if Sean Mannion does not get the best out of Jalen Hurts, Greg, he and others are going to be out of work.
Yeah, look, I think the way you get the best out of Jalen Hurts is you establish what we know works well for that offense, and that's running the football. They suffered a lot of injuries up front on the offensive line, which kind of derailed a little bit of their running game. Saquon Barkley didn't look the same after that 2,000 yards rushing season. If they can establish who they want to be up front physically and be more aggressive in the run game, it just simply opens everything up for Jalen Hurts in this passing game. Now, when you listen to Sean Mannion talk about, Jalen Hurts being hungry and him being first one in, last one to leave, you love hearing all of that. But if you're a Philly fan and you watched last year and you see that A.J. Brown is no longer in that locker room and kind of the bailout guy, you got some young talent at receiver, and you got one proven receiver that's been doing it alongside of A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, it's like, well, where do we point the finger at? And it's Jalen Hurts. So you have to be more than enough, regardless of if Sean Mannion is play calls are what they need to look like. You have to be the eraser, and he just hasn't been that as of late.
I have my doubts, man, for this offense. And look, I've been a part of many new offensive installs. It takes 8 to 10 weeks in the regular season to sort of feel good about it. And they're now changing the entire offense. It's not like they're putting someone else in there to sort of call the plays they've been running. They're changing the entire offense around. Like it's a completely different offense with obviously a new coordinator, but a new offensive line coach who developed all those guys for all those years. You mentioned Barkley. Brown's not there anymore. And you have a first-time play caller. So Sean Mannion has not seen the adjustments he's going to have to make during games yet. And Hurts has not seen the adjustments he has to make in this new offense. It's going to take 2 months to figure out what they want to be. And by that time, is the heat cool enough for them to allow like the growth to happen, right? Because if they start slow this year, there's going to be calls immediately, right, for changing everything very quickly. And look, preseason game 1 doesn't matter very much. They had 2 first downs for 55 minutes of that game the other day. Like, I get it. Starters weren't playing, but for Sean Mannion to say, like, I like the process of what? You didn't do anything.
It sounded like they were just complimenting, like, literally his ability to make play calls.
Yeah, he did speak to the game, and he was frustrated with how they looked on offense.
It's just I'm curious if they play game 2 because I think the starters have to play in this situation. It's 2 different schemes, man. It's completely different. Like just hearing the play call in your ear is going to be different than what he's heard for his entire career. And you have, again, new schemes up front, new everything. Like, they got to play a little bit in the preseason, in my mind. They have to just get some of that out early on. I know you don't want to play your guys. Maybe Lane doesn't play. Like, maybe Saquon takes a couple reps and sits out. But they got to do something in the preseason to get this offense going.
But at some point, with Jalen Hurts being a veteran quarterback, with him having success, with him playing in 2 Super Bowls, winning 1, playing well in the one that they even lost, playing great in the one that they won. Like, we've seen him play at a high level. It is on him to take some of this pressure off of a first-time offensive coordinator and play caller.
Yeah, you would think that a Super Bowl MVP with a $250 million contract, some of it would be on him.
I mean, that just has to happen. So, and he doesn't have the luxury of us, like Justin Herbert, where, he has so much talent, but we'll wait for him to become whatever he needs to become and win playoff games. Jalen Hurts doesn't have that luxury. We're going to look at him and say, he's the reason why they're not having success, regardless of the play caller, regardless of the run game, regardless of no A.J. Brown in the building and no extra chatter coming from within the locker room. You are the constant. You are the calm. You should be the one that rises everybody's level of play.
Well, it's why what I said at the beginning, like, if it goes poorly to Jeff's prediction, it's not going to be Sean Mannion who takes this blame.
It'll be Sirianni and Jalen Hurts.
Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. But in the past, it hasn't been. In the past, it's been like, well.
I mean, Sirianni's an offensive coach. How many years can they be bad on offense, not as good as you want them to be, and Sirianni survived that?
Right. I would think that Sirianni, and again, that story that came out on ESPN right after the season ended, that was just like, Jalen was partly responsible for the failures of the offense, and by the way, he doesn't have guaranteed money on his contract going forward. Like, Jalen Hurts is on notice too.
He's definitely on notice
in Philadelphia. Greg got Daniel Jones into the show. He's very excited about the most under-discussed player in football.
I mean, hey.
It's for you.
Some are sleeping on him.
Some are sleeping on him.
Continues.
I get it. You're awake.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.